9:30 on August 12th, call the finance business meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Commissioner Osmann,
Here.
Commissioner Sainsbury,
Here.
Commissioner Newman,
Here.
Commissioner Eustace,
Here.
Commissioner Claremont,
Here.
Commissioner Wallace,
Here.
Commissioner Warfield.
Here. Thank you, board. We're all here. It's just a matter of the housekeeping. For the board members, when you're addressing, or you have a question, or you want to say something, please address the chair. It's mentioned in rules of order adopted for this board, so that's item 86.2. So refer to your rules of order where we don't have people jumping on each other's comments. So you follow that. Please stand for the invitation. Pledge. So let us pray. Heavenly Father, guide us today as we discuss the affairs of the citizens of Cheboygan County. Help us to make wise decisions on their behalf for the good of all. This we pray in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic and one nation under God, there's no with faith and justice in this world. Thank you, Stephen. Item 4 on the agenda, board. Before we do that, we're going to make a little change in the under 11.1. We're not going to handle Northern Lakes Economic Alliance today, but we're going to handle waterways appointment. So that'll be Tuesday when we get to that spot. Okay, how about a motion to approve the agenda? Make that motion. Thank you, Dale. I'll support. Did you get the support? All those, well, never mind. Can't do that. Let's call them.
Commissioner Osmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman,
Yeah.
Commissioner Eustace,
Yes.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yeah.
Commissioner Warfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Sainsbury,
Yes.
Commissioner Claremont.
Yes. Thank you, board. And then down to the consent agenda. If you want to pull anything. You should feel how they you approve the consent agenda. Thank you, Mike. Support. Moved and supported. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Wallace,
Yes.
Commissioner Claremont,
Yes.
Commissioner Eustace,
Yes.
Commissioner Sainsbury,
Yes.
Commissioner Osmann,
Yes.
Commissioner Warfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Newman.
Yes. Thank you. A lot of things covered in that consent agenda. We're down to brief citizens' comments. If you'd like to address the board, please approach the podium, state your name, and we'll give you 3 minutes. Yeah.
John Studer.
Hey, John.
As everybody's aware, the state's trying to wash us down with all the dam structures in the state. They're trying to remove Roberts Lake Dam. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this structure. We're trying to save it. There's that. Anyways, lakes were named after two veterans, Cochran and Roberts. We'd like to maybe save that structure since there's nothing wrong with it. Maybe even memorialize it, make a boat launch, and do something with it to honor those veterans instead of destroying our natural resources. So that's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Hello, my name is Aaron Linton, and I am here. My interest in being here is in Cochran and Roberts Lake, and the Cochran side of that, PFC Cochran was my great uncle, my mom's uncle, and it's been a great lake for recreation, not only for our family and many others. We believe it's a very valuable resource to the community. Of course, I don't want it to go away. Last meeting, I had a presentation with a plaque with the Purple Heart and all the other medals of these two men, Sergeant Roberts and Private First Class Cochran. And I just think that we need to preserve those names. If those lakes go away, basically those names go away. You know, they've already closed the VFW Hall in Indian River. that plaque was hanging in there with the write-up of these men. One lost his life in France, the other one lost his life in Germany. And we can't forget the greatest generation. There's not very many of them left. So it's important to preserve that. These young kids already don't even know what the greatest generation is in this day and time. So that is my interest. I'm here representing my family, even though many of them don't know I'm here. But it was very interesting the other day, this meeting that Randy helped to organize last Saturday. And I just found out about this a couple weeks ago. I didn't even know they were getting ready to take it away until Roger Bunker told me about it. And then my cousin sees a post that Randy put on Facebook. So the wheels started rolling. And I want to keep them rolling. Randy, I want to thank Randy for what he's doing to preserve this. But I just don't think we need to forget about these men. And yes, the wildlife's very important. Our family is recreated there. And wish we could have located some of the Roberts, but we couldn't find any of them. So I want to thank you for being here on their behalf. Yes, sir. Appreciate that. So I thank you for your time. I'm going to stay abreast of what I can find out. We're going to do our best to preserve and remember these men. We're going to fight hard for it. Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Yes, Randy Stewart, my name. Hi, Randy. And hi. And I did begin this meeting, and I'm trying to have everyone be educated about Cochrane and Roberts Lake. In my opinion, it's not about me. It's not about any of us. It's really about the wildlife that is going to suffer from removing these lakes or drawing them down. They're talking about drawing them down about 3 feet. And in that 3-foot depth, the lakes are only maybe 7 feet deep at the deepest. Roberts, Cochrane might be a little deeper, but not much. And the assessment that has been made on these lakes in order to decide whether or not they want to take out the dam, I want to take a look at that assessment because I don't think that they've really placed everything that we need to think about in that assessment. I don't think they assessed it properly. And as far as I'm concerned, I've dove in dams and lakes all over the country for quite some time. And I've repaired them, I've worked on them, I've inspected them, I have filmed them. And I can tell you that from my experience, and it's been years of doing it as a commercial diver, that dam at Roberts Lake is in good shape. But they've been driving the logging trucks over the top of it. So that's putting it in jeopardy. And it could be cracking the foundation, the top of it, and there's no reason for it because there's 2 entrances and exits to that lake. One is going towards Sierra Road on the east or the west side, and the other one is on the other side, east side, that's going to Onaway Road. And so they don't need to drive over that dam. So it's almost like they're throwing it into our faces that they're going to do anything they want. And there's nothing that we can say about it. Now, just in closing here, I know I only have a certain amount of time. In closing, what I want to say is that the forestry person was there. She talked about the cutting that's going on and everything. And again, I think that that's being thrown in the face of us because it's all done around the lake itself. It's all mature oak trees, maple trees. The oak trees supply food for the deer, for the turkeys, for all the animals that are upland. And now that's all gone. I asked the person, how long will it take before these new trees that are going to come into play are going to produce fruit or the acorns? 20 to 40 years, they're going to start producing again. They have cut down, almost clear cut the whole area around the 2 lakes. And that in itself is wrong. And how did they assess that? Did they take into consideration that animals hibernate in hollow trees that takes 80 years to develop? Did they take into consideration the food source that they're getting rid of, that all these animals enjoy? And so, in closing, my purpose for all of this is not for self. It is for
all the animals that are going to be affected by all of this. They have a stress level, just like humans. And if we take away that wetland, we draw that down, there's going to be ice kills in the winter because the ice is going to just freeze right down to the bottom. All the fisheries and everything will be ruined. Did they take that into consideration? I don't know. But I could say so much more, and we are going to have a meeting on the 23rd of August, which is this month. It's going to be held at the Lions Club in Indian River from 12 noon to 3 o'clock. And we're going to scientifically prove that what is being done here is wrong and it should be reversed. So in closing, I just want to thank all of you for letting me speak. And I hope that you'll be at the meeting and maybe we can together stop this from happening. So that's all I have to say.
Make sure you invite the DNR, right?
Well, I'm trying to, but only one person showed up at the last meeting.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, they're trying to get rid of any dam because of the landfill.
Yes, but this dam is such a small dam, and
Just like this.
yes, and if you compare it to the Cheboygan Dam, it's just a small, minor, very low cost dam.
I know all the kids from Inland Lakes, they camp out there quite a bit.
Yes, it's enjoyed by a lot of people. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Randy.
Yeah, welcome.
Mr. Chair, there's no public comment. But any comment about someone like here? Well, so thank you for what you're doing with that. And I did talk to John the other day in reference to this. And the one thing that I think that group should consider researching is because they were named after veterans, both Cochran and Roberts, as a 32-year veteran, retiree myself from the military. What I would recommend your group do is look at why and when the names were changed, because they were, I think, the Twin Lakes or something.
Yes.
And then they were changed. And in order to do that, the state had to be involved. And so there may be a memorial part of this where that may save that.
We are pursuing that. Randy's all over that. Thank you, Neil.
Yeah, I spoke with Kevin about that,
Okay.
and he's looking into it as well.
Okay, because they would not have memorialized the lakes without some kind of state.
Yep, totally agree. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Anyone else like to talk to? Let's move on then, down to scheduled visitors, the 89th court, no report, and the judge is here.
Thank you. Well, first, let me introduce myself to the couple of people that may not know me.
Sure.
My name's Mike Echtel, and I was appointed to the 89th District Court. My term commenced late March of last year, following a more than 6-month vacancy after my predecessor, Judge Barton, retired. It's my pleasure to present to you the 2024 annual report for the court. I want to apologize for not coming to more of these meetings as a citizen and as a judge. I wish I could show my face and hear more, but it so happens that the 89th District Court also includes Presque County, and the district court there runs on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday I have to go there. And I apologize if it seems rude when I bolt out of here after I'm done with the presentation. I got to get there for court today. So
Drive under the speed limit.
well, yeah, I don't want to be part of the data for the traffic tickets for next year. So that's good advice. I appreciate it. So the district court handles traffic and civil infraction tickets, and that's part of the reason they call it the People's Court. Most citizens, their contact with the court system often involves the district court because that's how most people come under the umbrella of the system as they get pulled over for speeding or crossing the center line or rolling a stop sign or whatever. We also handle misdemeanors. Those are criminal offenses punishable by 1 year in county jail or less. We handle felonies through the probable cause phase, which is up through the preliminary examination. We handle civil suits where the amount in controversy is $25,000 or less. Most of that in this jurisdiction is consumer debt, credit cards, and auto loans and the like. We handle landlord-tenant or eviction matters, and small claims. So on to page 4, if you haven't already, I'd encourage you to read the staff bios. That's what I was most impressed with stepping into this role, is the experience and the talent of the staff. We've got a court administrator that's serving the court for 36 years and over 20 as the court administrator. And the other staff members are just wonderful. Their competence never fails to impress me every day. And not only as individuals are they pretty amazing to watch, but as a unit, they're very impressive too. And everybody gets along great, and it's an efficient operation. Where I take little credit for any of that. I've only been serving for a little bit more than a year, so I think credit is due to the staff. So on page 6, the report talks about the budget. In 2024, the district court budget was just north of $760,000. That was a decrease from the prior year. And in 2024, the expenditures were about $50,000 less than budgeted. And it's noted that the district court has come in under budget every year from 2009 through 2024. Then I can take no credit for that. I've only been serving since the end of the first quarter of last year. Something that I found interesting under jury costs, that's at the bottom of page 6, was there was a surge in jury costs in 2022 where the jury costs more than doubled, darn near tripled. And then that came back down in 2023. It ticked back up for 2024. I thought it was still a little bit too high. And what we did last year is we changed from a mass jury selection, which is where we have a bunch of people show up and we pick 3 or 4 juries, and then those juries would come back for the trials they were picked for at a later date. And that involved these people coming back to court not once but twice. So taking work off to come to jury duty, and the jury selection, arranging for childcare, rearranging appointments, whatever, and then they'd be picked. They have to come back on a second date. So that's not only an inconvenience I felt for those people selected for juries, but that's double the mileage. That's double the jury fee for a per half day rate. And so late last year we went back to what it was for a long time when I was in private practice, which is where we pick the jury and we go right into trial. They only have to come once, and usually just for one day. Generally misdemeanor offenses be tried to verdict in one day. So I expect for this year, 2025, that those costs will fall back down in line to what they were historically. Our collections are up, and I attribute that to my collection clerk, who coincidentally was my office manager for most of my career. I tease her and say, well, where was all that collection work when we were in private practice back at the old office? But she's been doing a great job, as does the rest of the staff. I wanted to comment on the court's website. That's what I get a lot of public feedback about. It's all complimentary. I think the county's website as a whole is pretty awesome. I mean, compared to other jurisdictions, even larger jurisdictions. I used it when I was in private practice. I use it just to see what's going on in the county. And even now as a judge, I'll take a peek at the docket every day to sort of prep for what's to come. And I get a lot of positive comments just from the public. I think people like to see what's going on in court. Of course, some of it is fodder for gossip. They want to see who's on the docket and what they're in trouble for. But I think transparency is to be favored. And so I compliment the county as a whole on its website, all departments. I think it's excellent. Page 8 talks about case flow management and what we call clearance rates, which before I became judge, I didn't really even know what that was. And now in the last several months, I'm aware of how important that is to the state. There are whole segments at these judicial conferences about your clearance rate. You got to have a good clearance rate. You should target 100% clearance rate, meaning that you dispose of as many cases as come up in any given year. Historically, it's been 100%. 2021 was 103%, so that means that there was a backlog cleared. I attribute that to COVID, but 2024 is 98%. So I was a little bummed out about that. It's not 100, but I'm surprised, frankly, that it's not much lower because I came in following a more than 6 month vacancy. There was no district judge at all following Judge Barton's retirement, and I'm surprised that number's not lower. I credit Judges Gothier and Vizinoff, who, in addition to their own very busy dockets, covered the district court docket during the term of the vacancy. And so my hope is that now that I've served more than a full year, that we get that back to 100%. Nothing to be concerned about. I think when the clearance rate gets too low, you get a call from somebody. I have not received such a call yet, so I think we're doing well overall there. One aspect of this position, which I'm most proud, is my involvement in the sobriety court. Judge Barton started the sobriety court about 13 years ago, and that's been a great service to the community in my mind. And I did want to update under staff. Since this report was printed, there was a staff change at Harbor Hall, and so you'll note that underneath the staff roster, it says, in addition to the team above, Tyrone Barbie from Harbor Hall plays a significant role in our program. And indeed, he did, but there's been a staff change, and that individual now is named John Lonkar. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Tyrone Barbie for his service to the sobriety court. He did a great job. Mr. Lonkar is also doing a great job as well, and the participants really seem to like him, and so I think he'll fill that role well. We recently went through a recertification process with the state, which is a statutory requirement. We don't have official word on whether that certification was granted yet. It's coming any day now. We don't expect any problems. All signs point to that we will achieve recertification. We just don't have the official word yet. We currently have 17 participants in the sobriety court, and what these people have been able to accomplish never ceases to amaze me. And what really has impacted me the most is seeing how they help one another. The people that have been in for a longer time help out the new participants, and it really is something to see. And hopefully our successful graduates move on and don't reoffend and come back into the system. And so far the data points to that's working. Revenue on page 12. Revenue is up about $48,000 from 2023 to 2024. Again, I that's believed to be due to the collections, and so we continue to work on that. That's this Blumke is 90% of her day is dedicated to collections, and so we continue to work on that. And then there are some colorful charts on page 14 about case filings. Felonies were up in 2024 from 2023. Again, district court only handles those up to the probable cause phase. Misdemeanors were down. There were 507 misdemeanor cases filed. Civil infractions are up pretty significantly from 1,755 in 2023 to 2,157 in 2024. Traffic misdemeanors were down, in my mind, significantly from 131 to 107. General civil cases are up significantly. Again, a lot of that is due to consumer debt, and so you can take from the data what you will. I think it does say something about what's going on with consumer debt. Small claims are pretty equivalent from what they've been year to year. Landlord-tenant cases are down, which I think is a good thing. And then our probation caseload on page 17 is down significantly. I attribute that to some changes in the law recently. Now, non-serious misdemeanors, which comprises a large part of our caseload in district court, there's a statutory presumption that non-serious misdemeanor offenders not be placed on probation. And so I attribute the reduction in probation caseload to that law. Sobriety court caseload was down by one person in 2024. It's now for 2025. We currently have 17 participants in the sobriety court. We had 16 for 2024. And so those are some of the highlights of the report. I'm happy to take any questions that you might have at this time. Are there any questions?
Judge, could you talk a little bit about the sobriety court and how it functions?
Sure thing. So sobriety courts started not here, but elsewhere. They started popping up in the late 90s. They really got popular in the early 2000s. That was sort of a trend. The sort of overarching idea for drug or recovery and sobriety courts is rather than simply throwing repeat offenders in jail or prison and not treating the underlying addiction issues, they're far more likely to come out and reoffend because you haven't addressed what brought them into the system in the first place. Okay? So the data shows that this works. It's best for public safety because the recidivism rates are significantly lower than if you just incarcerate somebody. It's cost effective because you're not paying to lodge or house someone in jail or prison, and they're far less likely to reoffend and come back in the system at all. So district court only is a sobriety court, so we only handle drinking and driving offenses. So our offenders have either been deemed moderate or severe alcohol dependent. And so rather than jailing them for a year or 10 months or have them convicted of a felony in circuit court where they are exposed to prison, the sobriety court is a very intensive probation term where in phase one, they are reporting weekly to court. They're checking in multiple times per week with the probation department. They're tested several times a week. They're on either SoberLink, alcohol monitor, or Scram tether to make sure they're not drinking. We help them if they're eligible get their driver's licenses back. And so when it works, it works wonderfully. And the recidivism rates are far, far lower. And we've had since its inception, I think 85 graduates of the sobriety court. And again, what I'm most impressed with, what I really didn't expect to see coming when I stepped into this role was how much they help one another. Cheboygan, if you're not aware, has a very active, fruitful recovery community, and a lot of the folks in our sobriety court are part of that, and I give credit to some of them for that. So yeah, it's a multi-phase, intensive probationary term. It's 2 years it takes to graduate. Some people take longer if they take a longer time to move through any given phase, and the data shows that it works.
Thank
I hope that answered your question.
No, it does.
Going
Thank
off
you.
on
Good explanation.
too long of a tangent. So, are there any other questions about anything? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, again, pardon me for seeming rude, but I do have to go to Rogers City.
Well, 6 days got a little higher
So,
speed than this.
well, thank you everyone, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your meeting. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
We're down to 7B, Sheriff's Department 24 Annual Report.
Good morning.
Name,
And
sir?
thank everyone for allowing me to be here to speak with you. So Judge Eckfeld mentioned how it was kind of difficult for him to put some of the information together because he got appointed a quarter of the way through. It's kind of in the same boat when I was trying to do this, as this report I'm giving was for the last sheriff. So I got some some information, change in the report for all of you. I think if we go to page 4 in your report, the first thing, is the operating. So of course, like everything else, it goes up a little bit every year, but really a lot of that when I started looking into it. So we had some overtime increases, and Judge Ekdahl actually just covered that in his report. A lot of the overtime increases were just like he was saying with all the jury trials. So every time there was a jury trial scheduled, we had multiple officers that had to appear for the jury trial. There were many days when we had your room here with 6 or 8 officers sitting in it waiting for court to happen. So we were able to work with him, and as he indicated, they come up with different ways of doing stuff that kind of streamline the process, I guess is best. And that continues to improve, not just with district court, but also with circuit court. That's improving, and the relationship that the previous sheriffs have developed, and that we hope to continue with the courts and all the county building staff is hoping to do that. The prosecutor also, I have to mention the prosecutor. She's obviously very important in what cases have to proceed and don't adjourn and no adjournments and all that good stuff. So the next main thing is on page 5, the grant monies compared to previous years. There's quite a significant decrease there. And so in 2024, there was none of the ARPA money from COVID available for the county. So the year before that, there was $100,000. The year before that, there was 1.43 million. And so clearly that has a big impact on the grant monies that Sheriff Cook was able to receive. I know, even though I wasn't sheriff, I clearly worked there, and I know that he tried very hard to get as much help and relief and grants for the county that he could. So I wanted to point out that that significant decrease there is by no means a fault of the sheriff or the staff or the attempt to obtain grants. It was because of the availability of the grants. There is a couple increases, which are very good and attributed to staff. If you look at the OWI forfeiture portions, it went from nothing to 1,100 to 22,000. So them are the law allows for the seizure of vehicles under certain circumstances. If there's children involved, Lieutenant Tebow can talk better about it because he runs it for us. So he gets a lot of credit for doing this and getting us this money, as does Sue for helping with it. But if there's child endangerment, high VAC, OWI 3rd allows for the vehicle forfeiture, and the theory is that it keeps them from reoffending and driving. Yeah, if we take the vehicle. So we take their vehicle, it gets put up for auction. They have the opportunity to have a family member buy it back, or they can buy it back. If not, it's forfeited and goes to auction. So, and then the only other main thing there that I wanted to point out is the decrease of the income from commissary, which we'll see later in the report is directly related to the number of people that are in jail and the amount of money they have to spend, right? So, I think next in your report is the OEM section. Lieutenant Runstrom is next on the agenda, so he'll cover that. Just one thing I want to point out there real quick though is, like mine, his report is from 2024, right? Everybody knows about the ice storm we had and how horrible that was. And I want to take just a second to publicly acknowledge Lieutenant Runstrom and the leadership that he provided for this county in getting through that event. It was second to none. We were far ahead of all the surrounding counties in our ability to serve the public, the resources we were giving to the public, everything. And that is 100% because of Lieutenant Runstrom. So I know he's not going to say that about himself when he gets up here, but No doubt. And Mr. Chairman, you were here frequently, you know, Mr. Lawson was here, he knows, Commissioner Sangster stopped by, Sue, we're all on a daily basis here helping, so. Everybody knows how hard he worked and how many hours he put in, and
Amen.
it wouldn't have happened without him, so. So page 10, if you'll notice, it says major calls for service and it says 2023. That's a mistype on my part. I apologize. That is 2024 numbers. The numbers are changed in your chart that you have. All the numbers are for 2024. But it says 2023 at the top. So I didn't catch that until after I put it in your packets. And them are all, I do have 2023 numbers with me if anybody has a question about one of the specific ones, but they're all very close. There wasn't a lot of change there between 23 and 24, with the exception of the property checks. The 24 numbers are substantially lower than 23. The guys are still doing it. They're just not logging it in CAD the way our CAD system was working, and changing to hexagon has some play in that. Page 11 covers our jail operations and the jail statistics for 2024. Actually, the chart shows you from 2021 through 2024. They're down a little bit, not a lot, for 2024 compared to previous years. And I think a lot of that was catching up from COVID, as the judge indicated, right? So during COVID, there wasn't a lot of contact, there wasn't a lot of enforcement, and all these cases take multiple years to get through the court. So that affects some of the jail numbers. The other thing is obviously the same thing that's going on nationwide with criminal justice reform. Who goes to jail, who doesn't go to jail, who gets bond, who doesn't have bond. That's changed substantially in the last few years. There are the majority of our cases now are a PR bond, unless they are a very clear danger to the public. They are given a PR bond right off the bat, where historically, especially for felonies, they were not PR bonds. They spent a significant amount of time in jail awaiting trial. Now they're not in jail awaiting trial. They're not in jail until after they're convicted. So 99% of our people that are arrested for misdemeanors are given a PR bond or an appearance ticket. It still counts as an arrest if you look at our arrest stats, but not a jail stat because they don't appear in jail. They're given an appearance ticket, where historically, previously, they all went to jail. So that hopefully explains that a little bit. Page 12, operations. This all continues. We still have a search and rescue team. We're operating as normal. They have a few new members. We lost a few members in 2024. We gained a few members. The main players in the search and rescue team continue to remain the same. We have Ron Fenlon that runs it, and then we have Dave Carpenter that is second in command. It's been that way for quite some time. They're very good at what they do. They've received a tremendous amount of training in what they do, and thanks to you, thanks to the commissioners, they're well equipped for what they do. Sheriff Claremont, Commissioner Claremont, I'm not sure what the proper title is, was able to get them a lot of equipment when he was sheriff that is still very good and operational. So we don't have any issues there. In the recreation division, our marine contacts increased quite a bit. Actually, all the contacts increased quite a bit for 2024. And looking ahead for 2025, we have a section on that coming up, but because I'm here right now, I want to mention it when I'm thinking of it. We're going to be down some, and it's because of our amount of patrol hours. A lot of our grants are cut. We don't have the funding to do what we used to do. So 2024, was a good year. And again, I apologize, same thing. My computer changed all these in 2023 for some reason, but they are the 2024 stats. So community outreach is phenomenal with the work that the deputies do. Again, that is not anything that I can take credit for. I'm just presenting you the information. That's something that started years ago. And that has continued. They are at any community event that we're invited to. They're at all the trunk or treats. We had a couple social service events, I'll call them, where all the different agencies were there helping people and trying to explain to them what's available for them. And they just continue to want to be involved and want to help out, and that I think is awesome. It's a great thing for the community. It's a great thing for the department. We do have a good operating Facebook page. It's updated regularly. We've got a lieutenant, or a couple lieutenants and a sergeant, I guess, that try and run that for us and keep any pertinent updates on it. I think that is one of the main reasons we were able to get even at the beginning, the limited messaging that we could get out during the ice storm, but the Facebook page is the reason that we could get anything out, because there was no TV, obviously, there was no radio stations, nothing, but some people had cell phone service and you could still get on Facebook and they could still see the messaging that we were putting out. So that's awesome that that was instituted last year, a couple of years ago by Sheriff Cook, and I think it's just a great thing that he did, and that our guys continue to do. So goals, objectives is page 15. It continues to remain the same. Training is a huge thing. Equipment is a huge thing. None of that really changed from previous years to 2024. The MCOLs, so for Commissioner Claremont, Commissioner Newman, used to be Malazzi, right? And then now it's MCOLs, which is Michigan Commission on Law Enforcement Standards, of course. And they're constantly changing. It's kind of a battle to keep up with all their new requirements. But one of the things that did change is now they supply the departments with training monies, and the money is determined by the amount of deputies you have. And what they do is they mandate, we're going to give you this money, but we're mandating that you take, was it 24 hours, Lieutenant? The mandated classes. It's 24 hours of mandated classes, and they tell you what they will be. But then they also give you monies for your selection, where you can pick what class you want to go to. So under the training section, that's a big thing that Sheriff Cook was able to institute. That's helped the county out a lot, helped the department out a lot with getting that training money and going to training. So all the other things there stay the same. I don't want to go through every one of them. I'll touch on the school resource officer real quick. That is always a needed thing, right? And all the schools are saying we don't have enough, we need more, we want more. I know that at one point Sheriff Cook was looking into trying to get some more with one of the past commissioners. That is kind of went on the back burner for a while, but it's back to light now. We've had a few meetings on it with the school and with their school safety committee. The school resource officer did quite a few other projects in 2024 in addition to the normal things that he does that are listed. They labeled in conjunction with our Lieutenant Runstrom, we're able to put a lot more. I don't know how much I'm supposed to say publicly, so I'll keep it limited, but there was confusion with responders at some of the schools because of the size of them. The school would call and say, this is where we need something, but that didn't mean anything to 911 or to us because of the size of the school. So Lieutenant Runstrom and Deputy Fenlon were able to come up with some ideas in addition to what Commissioner Claremont, Sheriff Claremont did years ago with labeling the doors. They came up with some more ideas that I think will really help first responders. And Again, that was done in 2024, started in 2024 with Sheriff Cook. So that I think is a huge thing, huge kudos to him for allowing that to happen. The juvenile cell is on page 17. I want to touch on that real quick. So I know that the original plan, and it says in the goals that it would be operational in the fall of 2024. That clearly did not happen. It's still not operational today. We've had multiple meetings on it. We're still meeting on it. We've had multiple delays due to construction. As of yesterday, we still do not have the final permit from the fire inspector. We can't get an occupancy permit to put anyone in it until we have all the inspector's permits. The cells were completed the way they were designed by the plan. The inspector came, there was some confusion apparently from the way the plan was to what was required. So Darien had to work with some contractors and our fire protection company to get more alarms installed or more detectors installed that go to the alarm panel. And then there was an issue with the alarm panel not having enough any more inputs for the detector. So that's all been corrected. That's been fixed. But the inspector has not been back to give us the final inspection. After that inspector comes and gives us the final inspection, then we can move forward with an occupancy. There's some other issues that with staffing, the way it was initially intended, is not going to work. It's not allowed by law. It, I believe, was just a misunderstanding. You cannot staff it 100%. You cannot staff it with someone that is currently working. So if I have a correctional officer on duty, they can do one or the other. They can't do both. And if the person that's staffing the juvenile cell needs a break, you have to have somebody else completely separate. None of your current staff come give that person. Somebody else has to come.
So they're specially trained, you think?
They're specially trained, yeah, but it's because just a technicality in the law, I guess, mainly where you can't work for both places, both because it's licensed separately. It's not licensed as part of the jail by MDOC. It's separate. So you can't do both at the same time. You can never video monitor, strictly video monitor. Somebody has to be physically in that cell anytime there's a juvenile. If there's a juvenile in there, there has to be an adult in that cell. 100% of the time, if there's a juvenile in that cell, there has to be an adult. So when it all started, that's not really the way it was planned that we thought it was going to run. So that's created us some problems. The other part is originally we had understood, I say we, the county, the department, had understood that the existing yard or recreational area that was being used for adult inmates could also be used for juveniles. Clearly not at the same time, right? But the adults are out, so they put a separate door in so the juveniles did not go through the jail, separate entrance. Well, during MDHHS's final review, they said absolutely not. This isn't going to work. You cannot do it. Plain and simple. This yard is not going to happen. So we have to have some type of outside recreational facility for them. We're currently working on that with them. I had a meeting last week with our licensing consultant, and I had a meeting yesterday with our licensing consultant. She's very helpful and trying, as are we, to come up with some solutions. We have a meeting scheduled within the next week that Administrator Lawson and Probate Judge Visma are going to be at with us. I'm sure we will have stuff for our civil counsel to review here shortly. There's going to be some changes with the nature of the facility. There's numerous different ways it can be licensed, I've learned, from a child care institute to a court-operated facility. If it's a court-operated facility, it's a lot more feasible to run it the way it's set up. Mr. Lawson has assisted me tremendously in trying to navigate through this and schedule meetings, so I thank him for that. So I know that there's been a lot of questions about it and thoughts that it was being delayed for whatever reason, but I want to make it clear that that's not at all the case. It's due to inspections. So for Derek, I could give you all the dates. I should have wrote them down. I apologize, but we didn't have windows in some of the doors until, I don't know, maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, because they were all on back order. So the steel doors came in, but they had a sheet of plywood covering the windows. There's no window. There's still stuff that isn't completed and that they want changed. So a lot of it is due to materials, a lot of it's due to changes from the inspectors, a lot of it's due to contractor availability, and a lot of it's due to logistics. It is still a thing, and we're looking at it. So I apologize for the length of that. Looking forward, so body cams continue to be a big thing. The cost is phenomenal. And the technology is changing so fast that as soon as we think this might be the best, somebody else comes out with something that is a little bit cheaper and might be better. And then the other thing that all the companies are doing now is tie barring all of their technologies together. So Motorola wants to put new cameras in the county building for us. We're working with them right now on some upgrades for county building cameras. So Motorola wants to put new cameras in the county building, and if we buy the body cameras from them, well, they'll give us a deal on all of it, right? Our tasers are outdated and will need to be replaced within the next year or two. And that's Axon. Axon has some very good body cameras. Axon says, if you buy the tasers from us, we'll give you this awesome deal on the body cameras. If you try to piecemeal it, it gets a lot more expensive. So that's something that continues to be a thing. We're working with the prosecutor's office on it also. Lieutenant Tebow has done a lot of work on it with research and talking to the companies. I don't know that we have a final answer suggestion yet of what our recommendation is. So the next thing that I got looking forward is our bulletproof vest expired at the end of this year. The money to buy them is in this year's budget. Sheriff Cook knew they were going to expire. He looked forward. He had them put in this year's budget. The issue is there's a Bureau of Justice Assistance grant that is available for them. Because the county had a state of emergency this year, and we're buying the vest this year, the Bureau of Justice Assistance will cover 100% of the cost of the vest. If they open the grant, and if we wait until the grant is open to order, that's where the issues come in. Typically, they'll cover 50% if the grant is available and if you wait. So since the beginning of this year, they've had it on their website that this grant is going to open to be available, right? But it hasn't opened yet. They haven't even opened it for applications yet. So we've had our vest techs come, look at the guys, measure everybody, pick out the vest. But if we physically order them, then you're not eligible for the grant. If you order them before the grant opens, you're automatically excluded from receiving that grant. So I've talked with Mr. Lawson about it a few times. We kind of got a plan in place. We're hoping that the grant will open by the end of the year, because if it does, they will be, according to the grant, 100% covered. But it all relates back to everything you see on the news with this grant was cut and that grant was cut and this program was cut. They say it's going to open. It hasn't. So we're in standby mode on that. Building security has been kind of a hot topic that the sheriff's department has been dealing with in conjunction with the circuit court judge. He's in charge of the building security committee. I believe Mr. Lawson will have some recommendations here next year. I'm sorry, Mr. Lawson, I keep throwing you out there, but he's working great with us and helping us figure out the best way to move forward. A lot of the concerns are after hours use. If there's nobody at the front door, we do put the gate up across the hall, but somebody could still come in and, hide something in the bathroom or up in the ceiling tiles or whatever, and then come back and retrieve the next day. Some of the other issues are the the exterior doors, the exit doors are not alarmed. So I could come in the front door and just walk down the hall and have somebody waiting for me at this back door that cracks it open and hands me something and no one would ever know. I come through the metal detector with nothing and somebody's waiting right at your side door that you use to come in and hands me a backpack full of various items. So we are working on that. Darian has done like always, Darian does a tremendous job on anything you ask Darian to do. But Darian has done a tremendous job on figuring that out in the ways that we can combat that and address that. So that'll be something that I think between Mr. Loss, myself, and the circuit court judge will be coming to you shortly for review how we want to change that. And I think the last thing I got here, or maybe the last thing, looking forward items is vehicles, patrol vehicles. So in 2025, thanks to you, to the commissioners, we got a new canine vehicle. A Tahoe. It's hard to find. We have it. It should be outfitted here shortly. But that's the only patrol vehicle we got. We're going to have a request that I'm sure you saw it on your agenda coming up for the transport van, which we use for autopsies, work crew, and prison runs. That van is, what year is it? Do you know, van? 97, 97. Yeah, it's an old transport van. And it's actually been in the sheriff's department budget to replace for 2 or 3 years now. So it should 5 years. All right, sorry. It's been in the budget to replace for 5 years. The problem is we couldn't find one. There was nobody that had one, nobody that made one that like worked for what we needed, right? So we finally found one. It's at the state bid cost. Thanks a lot again to Lieutenant Tebow for all the work he did finding that. So that'll be on your agenda coming up. We're looking forward. The patrol cars are all getting to have higher mileage. So for next year, we haven't got it all figured out yet, and that's because as you learn through the whole K9 and ACO vehicle request, the Tahoes are extremely hard to get right now. You can't get the Tahoes. The reason we're looking at Tahoes is because we can get equipment for the Tahoes. The Fords are being retooled, and nobody can tell us when the equipment will be available and when we'll be able to have. So we might be able to buy 3 new vehicles, but we can't put anything inside them because nobody's making anything for them yet. Because all the aftermarket manufacturers clearly have to wait until there's a vehicle available to design their equipment. The Durangos may be an option. They are approved by the state police now for use for patrol, and their availability seems to be okay. Because they're new, they have no history, right? So we can't say whether we think it's a good idea or a bad idea or anything else. So we're kind of waiting until there are some local departments that are running them now because you can't get anything else. Charlevoix has a couple, Emmett County has a couple. So we're kind of waiting to see how that plays out and whether they are a good vehicle or they're not a good vehicle. The only other thing I'll mention on that real quick is one of the other things we've learned with the Fords versus Tahoes is that the Fords are a little bit cheaper, but the maintenance cost is substantially higher and the resale value is substantially lower. So the Fords, when we sell them, when we put them up for auction, we get a couple grand for it. When we sell the Tahoes, we get 10 grand. So we're recouping more than we're spending, and we're saving quite a bit more on maintenance. Now, I have to say this last Tahoe that we had some engine problems, and that cost us a little bit. But historically, the Tahoes are less on maintenance than the Explorers are in a higher resale value. I think that's it. I appreciate the opportunity and would kindly try and answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Sheriff. By the way, his name is Sheriff Todd Ross.
I'm sorry, I didn't say that when I came up. I thought you did when you called me up. I apologize if I didn't.
Mr. Chair, I do have a couple of questions. Sure. Todd, you mentioned the Marine Division and
Yeah.
For talking for this year.
Yeah, I'm saying the stats for this year are going to be even lower than 2024 because this year's budget was cut. 2024 was okay.
And you said substantially cut?
Yeah, yeah. Sue might be able to throw something in there, but
I'm not sure about that because I thought the board agreed to keep the staffing level where it was, so.
well, the grants though.
Yeah, the grant was decreased because, the state wouldn't agree to the terms of the Coast Guard. They do have, ability now to, I've been talking with Jody regarding they are providing that additional funding, so I'm not sure where we're at with that. We're in the process of trying to apply for that.
Do you know? Do you remember what it was kind of? It's 30
About 20
some-
grand.
20 grand.
It was
I thought
about
it was
half.
more than that. I thought
So
it was
is that
30 something.
something, I mean, it's pretty important. Is that something the board needs to consider?
No, we're good right now. I was just bringing it up because next year's stats may be lower than 2025, maybe lower than 2024. That's because we're not doing as much patrol.
But you don't think you need additional funding?
I don't. Right now, we're okay. Right now, we're okay. But I appreciate that. Thank you for asking.
And then, community outreach, just want to get these apartment guys, I think that's extremely.
Yeah, yeah, they do awesome on that. Thank you.
That's all.
Anybody
Thank you.
have any questions? Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank
The
you.
report lengthy, but.
Thank you. I tried to keep it as short as I could. It's 50 pages long, so.
There's a lot going on there.
Thank you.
Thank you. We need to, go into a closed session, but we need this, Jeremy, we need to have you hold off till after the closed session, so you got a time constraint on the closed session.
You want me to go after the closed session or?
Yeah.
I'm fine with the next agenda too, that's fine with me, whatever works for you guys.
Well, right now I have to. Thank you. You're gonna be in the building.